Hey, how's it going? Nat here. Let's see what's making news. Fish and chips is a classic culinary favourite all over the world, but a new study has found that the fish and chips we eat here in Australia might not always be what we think it is. Here's Joe.
Oh, what you got there?
Fish and chips.
You sure?
Yeah, I think so.
If you say so.
If you've started to question what's actually in your food, you're not alone. See, recently, a team of scientists from Macquarie University put one of our favourite feeds under the microscope, examining one of the most commonly served fillets called flake, which is actually shark meat from the gummy shark and rig species.
We went to fish and chip shops, we went to wholesalers, we got the shark fillets, then we extracted the DNA. About 88% of the samples that were labelled as flake were in fact not the gummy sharks. And in fact, we found that there were 3 endangered species that were labelled as flake.
That's a big problem, because a third of all shark species around the world are threatened with extinction. Marine conservationists reckon that the government needs to set more rules around how fish is labelled, so we can all know what's actually on our plates and sharks can be properly protected. But there's things we consumers can do too.
Ask the person in the fish and chip shop, what is this that I'm eating? And what that's doing is letting the vendor know that there is actually consumer demand for clear labelling. Consumers want to know what they're eating.
It was an emotional day at the French Open as tennis great Rafael Nadal played what could be his last ever match at the tournament. He was beaten in the first round in straight sets by Germany's Alexander Zverev. He indicated earlier this year that 2024 would likely be his last season before retirement.
It's a big percentage that I will not be back playing here in Roland Garros.
Now to the remote town of Leonora in Western Australia, where a new app is helping students learn about science and language through Dreamtime stories. Ren checked it out.
This is a science class like no other. Here in the small town of Leonora, about 800 k's from Perth, these students are learning about the life cycles of insects in 2 different languages.
So the app we've designed is based on a Dreamtime story to teach two-way science.
Yep, using the Mammoet Gigi story app, these kids are learning about Aboriginal and Western science through Dreamtime stories and bush trips.
When there's been lots of rain, we go out bush and we look at what some pathways.
But that's not its only purpose. The app is also teaching these kids words from the Nalia language. It's an Aboriginal language that's at risk of being lost. In fact, only 3 people still speak it in the whole world. And many elders are hoping it will help the students better understand themselves and the world around them.
We need that more in school so kids could learn in both worlds, English and language is important too.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just pushing this comically large rock up a hill. I guess you could say it's time to rock and roll. First up to Florida in the US, where homemade boats of all shapes and sizes are competing in the 33rd Schooner Wharf Minimal Regatta. Made almost entirely out of things like plywood and duct tape, the boats were judged on their speed, costumes and designs, as well as their seaworthiness. Now to Mount Tibrogargan in Queensland, where 2 daredevils have decided to tie the knot while abseiling off the side of this humongous rock. Jade and Joel met 2 years ago after another climbing escapade, so it was only natural that they had to do it again for their special day. And finally, it's time to roll. Yes, this is the annual Gloucestershire cheese rolling event, which is exactly what it looks like. The first one to make it to the bottom wins the cheese, and yes, it is dangerous. It's a tradition thought to be hundreds of years old, and despite several attempts to cancel it over safety concerns, it just keeps coming back. Well, that's all we've got for you today. We'll see you tomorrow. Ooh, bye for now. How did that happen?